Victor Wembanyama's rookie season was nothing short of spectacular, but could his sophomore season catapult him into MVP contention? With a year of NBA experience under his belt and new developments in his game, Wembanyama's second season could be legendary. Last season, Victor Wembanyama took the NBA by storm with his jaw-dropping defensive skills and versatile play on both ends of the floor. Now, as he heads into his second year, the real question is, can he make the leap to MVP-level dominance? Imagine if I told you Victor Wembanyama might be an MVP candidate right from next season. For those who have been tracking his path, it seems far-fetched to some, but not quite unbelievable. Indeed, the Spurs would have to have an exceptional season of the club. But on a personal level, it is quite fair to believe Wembanyama is about to do something fantastic. In only his second year in the league, he might very well be performing at MVP standards. Before they are taken under consideration for all NBA nominations or even rank among the top 20 players, most players spend a few seasons growing. And it is great. The finest of the best, however, occasionally hit the elite rank early. Following an outstanding debut season, Wembanyama seems to be among those guys ready to create history. Here's why the Victor Wembanyama era in the NBA might begin as soon as the next season starts. The development Wembanyama achieved during his first season is one of the primary factors influencing his expected big leap in his second year. By no means was he poor at the beginning of his rookie year. However, if you watched his development closely, you would see that he improved greatly, especially in the second half. Wembanyama averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks, while shooting 43% from the field and 28% from three-point range for reference during his first half of the season preceding Christmas. Strong stats, but not quite all-star or all-NBA caliber. Worse yet, he averaged more turnovers than assists and was statistically among the least effective volume three-point shooter in the league. He obviously had space for development, as most rookies do. Wembanyama distinguishes himself nonetheless by his fast growth and adaptation. Usually, it takes players several seasons to polish their game and sort out their shortcomings. Wembanyama appeared to turn a switch midway through the season though. He changed his game following Christmas. While honing his shooting to 48% from the field and 34% from 3, his averages jumped to 23 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks. Depending on your perspective, these figures are solidly in all-star territory, possibly even all-NBA, which helps one to put them into context. Not even rookie players in the league currently can consistently produce stats like that across the board. More remarkable is that two main shortcomings, three-point shooting and turnovers, showered improvement. From among the poorest three-point shooters, he improved to hit a decent 34%. For a 7'4" novice, that is amazing. It would be revolutionary if Wembanyama could turn in a consistent 35 to 36% three-point shooter in his second season. Kevin Durant, one of the best scorers of all time, and someone Wembanyama has fashioned his game after, shot 35% from 3 across his first 4 seasons in the league for comparison. Wembanyama still averaged over 3 turnovers per game throughout the latter half of the season, but his assists increased and he even accomplished a triple-double with assists, a rare accomplishment for someone his stature. Yes, he has to reduce mistakes, but the good news is that things are improving, and considering what is ahead excites me. Wembanyama's physical improvement is another important factor allowing him to surge forward next season. Although exactly how much muscle he has grown since joining the league is difficult to measure, it is evident from images taken in early 2023 to more recent ones that he has bulked up. Wembanyama's thin physique wouldn't hold up against more established players like Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid in the post, which was one of the main worries about him when he signed for the NBA. Wembanyama held his own better than expected, while still having some trouble protecting them. Bigger players still occasionally overwhelmed him though. The extra muscle will surely help him defend against those kinds of players and enable him to be more successful in posting up lesser opponents. Having knowledge of how rapidly adding too much muscle could affect his agility and marksmanship, Wembanyama has been cautious not to do so. His playstyle is more like Kevin Durant's than Giannis Antetokounmpo's, hence he doesn't really need to get too muscular. Rather, Wembanyama seems to be striking the ideal mix, strong enough to compete in the post, but still light and nimble enough to flourish at his preferred style of play. It's not only about his appearance or performance in his rookie season. Wembanyama is also quite likely to gain from his experience this summer. Participating for France in the Olympics will allow him to challenge at a top level all summer long. More significantly, he'll be accompanying NBA stars like Rudy Gobert and Nicolas Batum, who can guide him and provide priceless knowledge. In his rookie season with the Spurs, he lacked much of this since their club lacked seasoned leadership of that quality. Only by playing against some of the greatest players in the world and learning from veterans will he be able to improve during the summer. In many respects, international basketball is more physical and demanding, so knowing this will push Wembanyama to improve his game by means of adaptation. He struggled because he wasn't experienced with the NBA, which is a learning curve every rookie player encounters regardless of skill level. This phase has to be negotiated even by LeBron James, maybe one of the best players in NBA history. LeBron averaged 16 points per game on below 40% shooting in his first 20 games of a rookie season. This emphasizes the true transition period even for generational skills. For Wembanyama, this learning period affected not just his own performance, but also the Spurs' whole start of the season. The Spurs only won 4 games before Christmas, when he was still adjusting to NBA hoops. But as he grew more at ease, they made notable improvements. 9 of their last 19 games were won. Wembanyama's change was mostly related to his move from playing in the French League, which is somewhat different from the NBA. Not the same are the rules, the style of play, the physicality, and even the way of living. Dealing with a whole fresh degree of media attention, pressure, and travel, Victor had to leave his native nation to begin his career in the United States. His ability to keep performing as effectively as he did tells volumes about his potential. Having gone through that learning phase, next season will likely be different. He already knows how things go in the NBA, hence that alone might indicate a lot better start for the Spurs and him. Wembanyama finished the second half of last season averaging 23 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks. Should those figures reflect his floor for next season, we have a player who is quite likely to be an MVP contender. Though numbers cannot often fully reflect his defensive abilities, it is already first-rate. As a rookie, he joined the All-NBA Defensive First Team and was second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. For a first-year athlete, that degree of defense is virtually unheard of. Therefore, even if his defense doesn't jump forward next season since he's already so good, his offense is where we should see a notable improvement. During the second half of his rookie year, Wembanyama's offensive game began to form. His attack was good, but had space for development. His defense was always first-rate. The rest of the league should be on alert should he be able to match his second half of last year's strides in his offense next season. For any player, let alone someone standing at 7'4", his ability to design his own shot, especially with regard to step-back threes, is remarkable for a guy his size. Last season, he led the league in step-back three-point percentage, which is amazing. He only scored 0.80 points per possession on spot-up shots, hence his catch-and-shoot was one of his shortcomings. He ranked 330th amongst 400 players. This is where he needs work, considering how much simpler it is to develop a competent catch-and-shoot player than a step-back shooter. Wembanyama is probably going to advance in this area of his game next season. Should Wembanyama improve his consistency in catch-and-shoot, it will create more chances for him inside the Spurs attack. Although his mid-range game still needs development, he shot 33% last season, becoming a more effective three-point shooter could help him improve his game to another level. He already marks 70% in the paint. Wembanyama improved his three-point shooting throughout the France warm-up games, which is encouraging for the forthcoming NBA season. Once opponents cannot afford to leave him open on the perimeter, the floor will open up for him to operate both inside and outside the paint. Wembanyama's development next season won't, however, come from his own gains alone. Key changes the Spurs are also making to the team surrounding him will have a significant impact. Lack of experienced leadership and being amongst the youngest teams in the NBA last season made the Spurs, having spent 6 years in the NBA and never been important on a winning team, Cedi Osman was the team's most seasoned player. Some of the dubious choices the coaching staff made, such as starting Zach Collins at center and running Wembanyama at power forward, therefore compromising the team's spacing, showcased this lack of experience. Wembanyama, while being the starting center for next season as well as more crucially playing with a real point guard from the outset, Chris Paul's inclusion, even in the later phases of his career, will be priceless for Wembanyama's growth. Paul is among the best point guards in NBA history. His ability to set up his colleagues will provide Wembanyama with simpler scoring chances. Although Chris Paul might not be at his peak, Victor would be benefiting massively from having him as a mentor on and off the court. Learning how to play in pick-and-roll scenarios with one of the greatest in the company would quicken Wembanyama's offensive explosion. Apart from Chris Paul, the Spurs acquired other important players including Harrison Barnes, a seasoned veteran who will assist Wembanyama open the floor, and Castle, a combo guard with excellent perimeter defense. This team's development, along with Wembanyama's personal development, creates conditions for a breakthrough season. Given how hard the Western Conference is, it is doubtful the Spurs will qualify for the playoffs. However, we might be seeing one of the best sophomore seasons in NBA history. Although Wembanyama's ceiling is yet unclear, with his game improving and the team surrounding him, next season could be when he starts to really shine. Not too far off would be a stat line of 27 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 or 4 blocks a game. Should he be able to reach that, Wembanyama will be well on his way to rank amongst the most powerful players in the league. From his newfound offensive versatility to the support of a seasoned Spurs squad, his sophomore season could be the spark that ignites an MVP-level campaign. Will we see Wembanyama as a future MVP candidate next year? One thing's for sure, the league better be ready. Stay tuned for more updates.